Here.
Mr. Babalani?
Here.
Dr. Hayes?
Here.
Mr. Menegini?
Here.
Mr. Pop?
Here.
Approval of agenda. Anybody have any additions to the agenda?
Did you want to take that?
Yeah, I'd like to, if we could remove the closed session, just because we haven't had any meetings since the last meeting. So labor negotiations, I don't have anything really to add to our discussion.
Is there a motion to remove labor negotiations from the agenda?
I make a motion we remove the labor negotiations from the agenda.
Support.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of April 3rd, this closed session of March 20th, and the closed session of April 3rd. Is there a motion to approve these, or any corrections or additions?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of April 3rd, March 20th, and April 3rd, closed session 2017. Support.
You said all three?
Yes, I did. Did you want them separately?
No.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Approval of manifest 2017-8 in the amount of $233,235.17. Mr. Menegini, any questions?
One question here, Ray. Excuse me. Page 4. We got a WPPI transmission and pass-through refund. That's not those credits we sold, is it, for $13,722?
No, that wouldn't be those credits. That would come through their billing.
Okay, then our purchase power up to this point here was 20,000, which is very, very cheap. I'm sure it's not going to be like that the next time. Was that 13 taken from that, or it was what we paid was the 20, then we got the 13?
Do you separate those out?
Yeah, our
Yeah.
purchase power for the month was the 20.
Was the 20,
And then we
okay.
had the 13,000 worth of credit.
Okay, that's what I thought it was. I just wanted to make sure that's all I have.
Mr. Babalani, any questions?
I got a couple, Doc. On the first page, Ray, down in the Police Department Law Enforcement Memorial Conference. What would that be? Is that training, or was that for the road dedication? But I thought the road dedication was on, for US 2 was on the last manifest. It's like about the sixth item from the bottom.
Oh, that's probably, it's coming up. That's coming up in Sault Ste. Marie.
Oh, okay.
So that's a night stay over at Sault Ste. Marie.
That's just for the chief, or is that
That's
for?
the chief.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I noticed there's probably $300 between all of the departments for coffee, copy paper, and highlighter. Is that normal, Mayor?
I know the bill is split between all the departments. I don't know if some of the highlighters,
Those are just highlighters.
highlighters are complicated. And we split it between all the departments.
Okay, yeah, because it wound up to be, I'm thinking about $350. That's all I got.
Is there something?
It's outside. Sounds like the heating system.
Should we run?
Okay. No, it should be all right.
Okay. Yeah, I do have a couple questions. My first question is in quite a few of the departments. It comes up as Municipal Electric Utility Safety Management Program. And it's different prices in each department. And it totaled of, altogether with all the departments, $6,421.53. I was wondering who taught these classes?
That is that's that safety program we talked about with the safety director.
So that's the safety director?
That's yeah, and broken down in the departments by the number of employees that are participating.
We're all employees.
All employees are, but it's like full-time versus part-time, we'd have to take down a proportion as to who's, who's going through.
Do you know what kind of training that was?
Well, that's annual. It goes every month. We have the safety director, and then we have the safety committee, and he manages the safety committee, works with the safety committee, and then we have multiple trainings through the year, confined space, CPR. There's just a whole series of trainings that we need to keep up to speed with OSHA.
Okay, and then is that $6,421, is that part of his yearly wage that he gets for coming down
Well,
here?
he's contract, so that's the company. We have, that's a $30,000 that was brought up before about the annual, and it's broken up into quarterly.
Okay, so that's part of that.
That's
isn't
contract.
This ain't beyond that 30.
No. That is the 30 that we talked about.
And then, the only other thing I seen is, I had a question in the memorandum for the TV department. He had that, I imagine Jim does it or whatever, but, what he handed in, that doesn't tell us what he's doing. It tells us who's got the basic TV, who's got whatever, what tier and computers and that, but that is not any work orders or
Right.
anything.
Right, and I've talked to Jim before. He hadn't historically in the past been handing something in, and so I've been trying to get him to have a report that talks about work orders and whatnot, so I have to go back. This past month he didn't.
I appreciate having this, but this ain't what
Right,
the other
that's not-
departments are doing at all.
Right, I agree.
Okay. That's all I have.
Mr. Pop, any questions?
My question was what Mark had, but I'm good. Nothing.
I have no further questions. We need a motion to approve the manifest.
I make a motion, we approve manifest 2017-08 in the amount of $233,235.17.
Support.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes,
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes. Anybody in the audience like to address the council on any agenda item or anything we've discussed so far? Otherwise, there'd be time for comments on any topic at the end of the meeting. We have a very light agenda tonight. We're just going to discuss the DDA authority, the TIFA plan discussion, as well as other projects in the DDA. Tim Mattson apparently didn't make it.
Well, I can give you a quick rundown, okay, just so everybody understands that, as part of our duties, part of my duties as a city manager, I'm also designated as a DDA director. If you look at the DDA's charter and through state law and then also through the city's obligating paperwork, what they direct, the DDA has the ability to hire employees. And so what we've done historically is that the DDA has contributed to the city, and the city manager has been the DDA director. Something that it was done from day one, and so that's part of the duties that I try to uphold to in working with the DDA. What we've been doing over the last year is that the DDA term comes up in 2024. Under the new state law, the DDAs, or tax increment finance areas, TIFAs, can apply to extend their term. They have to do it through different parts of there's a procedure that they have to follow, and one is that we've developed an advisory committee of residents within the district, and they've met a couple times to help fashion a new TIFA plan, new DDA plan, or amendment to the existing plan. I passed out tonight the amendment that's been put forward through this committee, as well as working with the DDA board, and in the plan, the most important part of it is in section 2, they talk about amendments to the plan. And these are over the next 30 years or 25 years, whatever term is then appropriately provided, that's what the DDA will be working towards. So you can see, and we tried to throw an estimated number in, but obviously that's it's very difficult to come up with the exact amounts, especially even the time frame to come up when they're going to be able to do some of this. So, but you'll see that the types of things that they've had in their plan and want to continue to put in their plan are additional improvements to Main Street. You could include the highway as well. Again, just so you understand that the DDA can only spend its dollars in the district. Its district is basically Main Street and the highway. I've given you a map in the packet which shows the district. It does go beyond the highway, which also includes the mirror, that area. And what we've had is, over the years, we've had a philosophy, the DDA has had a philosophy that they would undertake projects in the district in order to help the city, so the city didn't have to have those projects on its CIP or capital improvements plan. Notable projects would be the industrial area, the road work and sewer and water work that we did in the industrial area. Some of even our residential streets, if they're in the district, would be eligible, and the DDA has undertaken those projects, or park projects, like, again, the mirror. And the reason that they've included that is because it's in the district, and that's something that then the city wouldn't have to concentrate on. They cannot spend their money outside of the district. So, you know, what we did is we tried to put the number of different project improvement or ideas down for different types of projects and different types of programs, you know, for, you know, moving forward. And this is going to go out, like I said, 20 to 30 years. So Main Street improvements, that includes, now that we did the streetscape, it includes additional sidewalk improvements. It would include pavement improvements, the lamps, you know, anything that we're doing on the Main Street. The pocket park, that's one that's been identified as it's important to make upgrades to and improve. Or even the other, now the new little park we have by the Legion, that would be one. We've always tried to encourage the downtown facade program. That's been a little tricky over the last few years, but that comes and goes based on the state's whim on how they administer their program. Same with the downtown apartment program. It's not so much the dollars that go into it from the DDA on these programs, as much as supporting the local businesses, local property owners to get into these projects. We talked about some type of business marketing or business retention, incubators, talked about gateway signing, of course our corridor water and sewer extensions, that's a big one, corridor being the US 2, specifically up along the west side. We talked about and had some real good discussions about Norway Spring. That's been talked about quite a bit over the last year, and so that's been a good discussion at the DDA level, and that is in the DDA district, so I think that's important for the DDA to continue that discussion and for council
So the money, Ray, that they have here, it says Norway Spring improvements, 150,000 beginning 2017. That is what they actually planned? That was what they actually planned out to spend up that way, or that's, because it says beginning 2017.
Yeah, and got to remember that the numbers that we put in here, we have to have a number in, and the numbers are pretty fluid based on, you know, if this happens 5 years from now, you know, what kind of project we're doing. It doesn't mean that we have to spend 150. It doesn't mean that we can't spend 150 over 5 years. It just means I'm putting a number in, an estimate, and it's something that when we go through and send this off to the state, then that they'll be able to see that, you know, we're planning an overall budget for a length of time. So that could be 10 years from now, we could put another 5,000 into it.
So
or it could be anything
realistically,
big.
they have money that they are interested in this project possibly?
Yes, that is a true statement, that there's monies available, and the thing is that, I mean, their monies come in on an annual basis. So it's not like they have the $1 million sitting in a bank that they're just looking to spend. Their money comes in on a regular basis based on their tax capture. And so they have to prioritize their projects. And so one of the things that we've discussed over the last year is where does that fall in the priority list? Because we've talked also about the sidewalks along US 2. We've talked about trails along US 2. They want to keep a certain amount of money because if you remember Milwaukee Broach, when that project went, that was $100,000 that we used for making improvements to the property in order for Milwaukee Broach then to decide to come. That was very important, you know, so that's the type of thing that they can do and that they want to do. So economic development is probably one of their biggest considerations, but they also want to put into, you know, maybe the soft economic development. The spring, I think, is a very important, and recreation can be a very important, what we call soft economic development. People coming into the community, money comes into the community, and then it helps businesses and it helps our community. So that number might be low. You know, it might be low based on as we go along here. There might be we might end up with a little bigger project. We might get the grant money. They always want to try and tie their monies up with grant money. You know, so that's another thing that we try to do. So
I guess I really do. I've been kind of pushing that indoor bottling deal year-round, and I think it's a good project. You would be amazed if you sat up there and watched how many people use that spring. It draws a lot of people into town, and I think it could help support some of the businesses with signage inside the building, little brochures on what we got going in town here through the summer and the winter months. I think it's a good project, and if they're interested in possibly partnering up, we have some money put away that's cannot be used. It's property sale money, and it has to be used with the Norway Spring. And I believe Ray had got just a rough ballpark figure on what we were going to be looking at possibly for a building up there. And I don't know, what was that, Ray, 40,000 without the utilities?
yeah, if it was just the building part of it was 40 to 50,000.
And, you know, property sale money, we have half of that already for that project, and I think it's a really good project. I'd like to see us get a little bit more involved and get Harry Kleiman or one of his co-workers down here and seeing what we can actually do. If our hands are tied with the spring, or if we'd have to punch a new well, and look at our options in the real near future for that project.
I was thinking tonight we should discuss a variety of projects that are available. That was certainly one of that I thought the spring, I think if we're going to have economic development, that tourism is a big part of that for our area. I don't want to see heavy industry here, and I think the spring would be a focal point for attracting tourists to the area. And what we do there, I think, should be open to discussion in the community, the DDA, and the council, which is why I thought this was good tonight to discuss that. We also wanted to discuss tonight the parking lot. There was some controversy on that, and I think the DDA didn't understand, and so I think we should push ahead with that parking lot. It's something that's needed. And we should also push ahead, which was on the list of projects here, the trail extension through Norway, particularly access to the business, the churches, and the museum on the south side of the highway on West US 2. I think those are all projects that should take priority with the DDA and the council.
And I think we have to keep in mind, and I'm sure we will, with this Iron Bell Trail with the state, this could all be tied into that, and there would be some available grant money.
Correct, yeah, that's what I mentioned that we need to do with the trail and the...
As far as the parking lot over there, I don't believe that it would be a wise move for the DDA. The permit was basically denied for filling the place. We have about $2,800 invested. It was stated at the DDA meeting, I don't recall who it came from, but they thought that if somebody was to buy that property, a potential business establisher, that the permit would be possibly granted. I don't think we should get involved with that and put any more money towards it. Like Mr. Pop had said a couple meetings back, it is tied to Marion Park. A lot of people park at Marion Park and walk that whole area. And I don't believe we should take away a potential business site in the heart of the business district on US 2, even though it is off the main beaten path just a little bit. I think we should reserve that for the businesses, and because that is actually where the DDA gets their funding, through the business taxes, and you would be taking money actually out of that fund if you developed it as a parking lot per se versus a business site.
Did we get turned down, I mean, did the DDA get turned down on the permits, or were they still waiting?
No, the particular permit that we applied for, they did turn us down. And they were giving us, we had 60 days in order to file an amended permit or to basically shut that permit down. And so that was our last meeting. That was what we talked about, was what are the options? Do you want us to file an amended permit, or do you want to try a different direction? And basically at the meeting, what we were putting out was that you can actually make the parking lot without using a permit. The reason we were going for a permit was that we have wetland. The city owns 30 acres of wetland just to the west of that, and we were trying to get the DEQ to agree to allow us to fill more in and use what they call mitigation easement credits, and instead of actual mitigation where you have to create wetland out of highland. That's what the permit was really asking, and they were turning that down because they said that we didn't need it. That's what they were saying.
What would it cost to go with another permit?
For an amended permit? I don't know if I had the figures as far as, I don't think there was an additional cost for an amended permit. What they had to decide was you have to actually amend a project to meet whatever the DEQ was talking about, and they didn't. I don't think that it would be within our best interest to amend it based on what they were saying.
So you're saying right now, if we did buy it, we could put 12 parking spots there?
Yeah, they had a parking lot designed that would work in that spot right now.
But you're saying
it included a
right-
bus turnaround.
That we
Right,
wouldn't have to get, or that they wouldn't have to get the permit for.
Then we would not need a permit for that.
Just a bus turnaround and 12 parking spots? Is that-
I believe so. That's what they were talking about.
I guess my concern is the price of what we have to pay for the land. I think it's a little,
Yeah, but we had that land appraised, and it appraised at that amount, and the reason it appraised is because it's the same size as what he sold for the dental office. And so all of the wet area basically came with it. The amount that its value is based on the high area. It's not based on any of the wet
how
area.
much was it, an acre?
No,
even,
it wasn't in the whole acre. It was like half an acre to.
For 20,000?
Basically, yeah. Yeah, and it was basically the same size as what he just sold for the dentist office.
I just don't know, my feeling is 12 parking spots, buying the land, putting the work into it. I mean, I guess that's up to the DDA. My concern is I think that's quite costly, that we probably could use that money somewhere else.
So one of the DDA members did suggest that they would leave the parking lot gravel, and so it could be later developed, but I think we need a parking lot off US 2 because that's where we're going to attract people. It's near our businesses. People are going to go by. If they see a sign, they're going to stop
Are you going to
possibly.
see it from the highway? Are you going to be able to see that you can park?
Well, we have a sign there right now.
Right, but I mean, are you actually going to see the park? You're not going to get in off the highway.
Well, right now what they do,
right?
if they see the sign, they pull in, there's nothing for them to go to. They'll park at one of the businesses that are
Okay.
there.
But is the parking lot, is the road gonna come in right off of the highway or no?
No, it comes off of K Street, South K Street.
Right behind Murbich's
Yeah,
building, right?
it's right behind Dennis's.
Oh, it is off of there.
Yeah.
The only thing is like I said before, Doc, is you're drawing away from money that could be kicked back into the DDA, because if that was sold to a private business, I was under the impression that the permit would be a little bit easier to retain, and you're taking business site off of the main hub, out of the main hub of the city, and I don't think it's a good idea.
Well, I do think we need a parking lot off the highway, and without getting a permit and filling wetlands, then that's one of the few options we have.
So you're thinking that you would rather have a parking lot there for 12 parking stalls plus a bus turnaround rather than a potential business site?
Well, a potential business site can sit empty for 20 years.
It has never been advertised for sale though, Doc, best of my knowledge.
Well, it's for sale.
And
How's
you know,
that, where that house, was that LaFave? That area's for sale, isn't it?
yeah,
How long's that been for sale?
they just listed it again, but I mean, they're asking, I think, 150,000, 149.9.
Well, there's plenty of places along the highway, and if the DDA does decide to go with that, it's just a gravel parking lot, they can always turn around and sell it.
And sell it.
If somebody
If they're
comes
close.
along and says, hey,
Right.
we'd like this spot, I'm sure they'd say, hey, fine, and then we can look for another parking spot, because, I mean, next to, was it that accountant place there, how long has that lot been for sale? And that's prime time right on US 2, and it's been there for, 24, 25 years, and
It
nothing's
might be
happened.
more appetizing too for a business to come in and see that parking lot there, and they can go off.
Very possible.
I mean, I guess I express my feelings on, do I want to see a parking lot out there? No, but the DDA is their own board, and they're a board for a reason. It's their money, so I guess I'll leave it like that.
Bruce, you want to come up, please?
Bruce Atkinson, 194th Avenue, member of the DDA. One of the reasons that Tim was gonna do this thing was not only to, review that plan. We really haven't seen that, have we, Ray? That amendment that,
Yeah, this is one that we had
was the
earlier.
one I did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because I didn't know if something had changed after the meetings with the folks.
There was a little bit of an update, Bruce.
Zeroing in on you, look out.
Didn't know I did something wrong. And so I guess, I'm gonna ask you, Ray, did the meeting, the folks in the meetings they've had, is that gonna result in changes to that?
There are some additions and slight modifications to what we have.
Which we have to approve, I believe, and then the city
Right.
council has to approve.
That's how they're gonna recommend to the DA.
But one of the reasons that Tim was gonna be here as chair of the DDA was not only to talk about that, but to facilitate the discussion about the mirror thing. Okay, and two of us are here for the DDA, but, because that was a controversial topic at our meeting. And I guess you guys are hashing it out now a little bit. But that was one of the reasons. So maybe, I'm wondering if we should not, I don't know what happened, if Tim had a conflict or kind of slipped away, but, maybe we need to get him back here, Ray, for another meeting to have more discussions about that. And maybe we could talk about it on Wednesday is our next DDA meeting. And maybe we could encourage some more DDA members to be here so that they can chime in with their opinions and share that. That was the idea, was that we didn't want, I said this at the meeting, DDA does not want to go off in a direction, even though we may have the authority to do it. If the council is, doesn't agree with the direction we're going.
One of the things, Bruce, that I handed out to the board was the schedule, the schedule that we're undertaking in order to amend the TIFA plan. So that's within your packet. It talks about you know, the steps, and it doesn't say how many meetings the advisory committee has, so they take as many meetings as they need to in order to approve a plan, which they've done actually this last week. So what you have tonight is what they're recommending to the DDA board. The DDA is going to pass a resolution, and then that resolution, you know, the council sets a public hearing. So the council has to get the plan and also then approve it. So the council does, even though the DDA has its own autonomy, it's still a creation of the council and it's a creation of the state. So it's going to come back, and just like you're saying.
Is the committee meeting more? Are they still in discussions about what they think they want to do?
No, the committee finalized last week or 2 weeks ago, and they're sending it.
And so their suggestions or whatever need to be formally built into that amendment somehow. We have an amendment, I think, don't we?
Yes, Steve Mann is working on that as we speak.
Okay.
Yeah, and we anticipate that on Wednesday's meeting, that amended plan will be available along with the resolution, which is basically going to send it to council. So the DDA is going to pass a resolution, unless there's some issues that they come up with, to send it to the council for then the council to start the process. We're moving along.
Yeah, what is the, because we haven't seen the schedule either. After that's done, what kind of timeframe is Steve saying to actually be formalized? It has to
Well, this goes through May.
Okay.
It goes through May into June. The second notice of hearing is in June. If we stay on this now, I haven't been able to really stay on it. The adoption of the ordinance adopting the plan amendment is July 3rd.
Okay.
So this goes another couple months. I mean, this goes
Then it goes
along.
to the state?
Yeah, yeah. And there's a reason why it does that, is because it wants to have the state wants us to have these conversations. Having public hearing and having these conversations. So.
There was a little sense of urgency to get this done, only because of some pending changes to the laws that would maybe affect us negatively somehow. I don't know where those are at. Okay, so somewhere maybe several months after July, we should get the state to.
I would say in July.
In July.
You should have it approved at the beginning of July. So I'm saying into May and June.
You're talking about the extension?
Yeah, I'm talking about the council having a public hearing with the DDA, you know, for the extension, yeah, for the amendment. The amended plan is what you're really, you know, reviewing.
And I just like, you know, just to say again, I'm not worried about the frontage. I think we got some property out there for frontage. To me, I don't want to step on the DDA's toes. I mean, these are things that they work very hard on. I appreciate the people who work on this. My main concern is 20,000 for less than an acre, and then you're gonna have the cost of the parking lot. Just weigh out a 12-spot parking lot. Is it worth it? That would be one of my concerns.
You know, when I appreciate the DDA's work also, but I mean, you look at, I totally don't agree with another park next to the American Legion. It is a small lot, but we had a business there. The last thing we need is more parks than businesses in a town. And once you take away some of these sites, there's only so many sites, and there is some highway frontage for sale out there, but it comes with a real hefty cost. And a lot of the businesses are not going to put up that hefty cost. I don't remember what Mr. Corolla wanted for the property next to the DNR, but it was rather hefty. And there's a gas line that runs through there that cannot be built on. So it's not quite the property that everybody thinks it is by looking at it. And I'm a firm believer we need more businesses than parks in our business district. And they're taking money out of their own pocket by creating more parks and parking lots than businesses. And I hate to see that.
The city's worked a long time on the mirror, and I think not to put a parking lot for it just would not make any sense. All that time, effort, and money that has been spent on that. The city bought the 40 acres that the mirror is set on. We've gotten grants to put walkways through there, and I think it needs to be enhanced. And the only way you're going to reason to enhance is to allow people to visit and you have to have a parking lot someplace. We can't rely on the businesses
All
in
the
the area.
trails are connected together, so I mean, every time you have, like an eighth of a mile or whatever, do you need to put a parking lot in every spot? I don't get it. And it's in the business district, and I hate to keep beating a dead horse, but we need businesses, not parking lots and parks.
Well, I think we need to discuss the spring. I think we both agree that that's a main project that we need to work on. We need to develop ideas. You'll need a parking lot for that for sure. I think we need to be able to communicate with the spring down over to the museum, over to Strawberry Lake, down to the Mirror. So I think that's a big project that the DDA is going to have to work on, and as well as the city is making the connectivity as part of our city. And I think we certainly, as Lee pointed out, work on the connection to the Iron Bell Trail. And these are all big projects. There's money set aside in the DDA, and we need to look for grants. The DDA should be used as seed money to get some of these grants. So does anybody else have any ideas on any other projects? Anybody in the audience like to ask any questions or state an opinion on anything?
I guess, Doc, I agree with you. We need to keep our trails up, but, you know, if it's sacrificing a business site, I don't believe it's a good idea.
Can we just wait for Mr. Matz and see if he can come give us his thing for next time? Okay.
I'll reschedule and have something
So you can
similar.
give us
Can you
presentation?
set up a date with Kleiman? I would really like to meet with Kleiman on the spring project.
Yeah, we can find
somehow.
out what we can do with that.
Any other comments on the DDA?
Where does the DDA, where are they 100% funded by Norway businesses?
No.
Or is it Dickinson County, is it the state? How are they funded?
We capture funds from throughout the county, so it's any new construction in the DDA, and they capture funds which normally would have gone to the county. That's the whole point of this, because that way you get all the new taxes on new businesses or new development in the DDA instead of just the taxes that Norway would have gotten. So they get Norway's taxes, they get the county's taxes, they capture all the taxes, so more money comes in, and so therefore you can do more projects. Sometimes you get more money coming in. So it's from a variety of, it's all tax money.
Okay.
Ray, correct me if I'm wrong, but like even the Norway Springs subdivision up by Lee's, that's in the DDA,
That's correct.
and we actually hold more of the money when the property's in the DDA. If that residential property was in the regular tax base, we would get, I don't know how much less, but it's a substantial amount, right, Ray?
Well, the way that works is in 1992, when our DDA was formed, or 94, the tax base was frozen at that time. So whatever the tax base in the district, that is considered a frozen number. The district lines were made, so then they calculate out the tax base within that district, that boundary. Any new tax from that date forward is captured by the DDA. So that's city tax, that's any county tax that's in that area. So the beautiful part of, from our perspective, the advantages of that system is that county tax is coming and being spent in our district and not going to the county general fund. And that is a source of contention with our county for obvious reasons. And so the new laws that they have in Lansing allow different other county taxing districts to opt out. And what happens is obviously if we set up if we took and created a new district, we added area to to this district, they would fall under those new rules. And so all of the other taxing districts can opt out. And then that would leave city tax.
Which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so it renders it less attractive for cities to even have a TIFA, right? So, because we're just doing a term extension, the opt-out language isn't part of that. So we still can claim. Now, they did pass a new law last year, which allows libraries to opt out, even in old districts. And that one is probably going to get challenged in court, and the reason is because there are TIFA districts out there like ours that have a bond issue, you know, from like our streetscape, we have a bond issue out, and that bond issue goes for another 6 years. So now they're allowing these other districts to opt out. Well, the bond payments were based on revenues that were obligated for a period of whatever many years. So that's going to end up in court, and we'll see where that goes. But
That's one of the reasons we want to get it done, because somebody could pass a new law that will let everybody opt out in existing districts. Not likely, but it could. That's why we want to go through the process.
Any other comments from the council? Do you want to discuss any of these other projects or list those out there?
I think I pretty well went through them. Again, you know, go through it and by all means give us comment. You know, our meeting is Wednesday at noon, so, you know, come to the meeting. Again, voice your comments. Even if you wrote them down and gave them to me, I mean, I'll pass those on for sure to the DDA, you know, and have them talk about it with the plan. So.
Would this be available to people on our website?
No, not right now, because we're gonna have a public hearing. We gotta respect the DDA to allow them to have discussion points, you know, before it gets out for public viewing. So, I mean, I suppose you could tell me to put it out there, but I don't advise it.
Ray, I asked this the last, I know the last meeting for sure, but I know they have their own money per se, their own projects, but the DDA money is still controlled by the City of Norway's council, right? I mean, it's voted on by the council, the projects to be spent?
Not so much the projects, Mark, but you get the annual budget. And you go through annual budgets and, you know, you approve the budget on an annual, you know, through that annual process. Once that budget is set, those individual projects then are administered by the DDA. However, like Bruce had mentioned a couple times, that he mentioned last meeting and this meeting, that the DDA is not going to, you know, want to argue with the council, and nor should they. And so I think that, you know, if you guys, you know, you want to slow things down or you want them to not do something, I think they're going to listen. You know, obviously, you appoint DDA members, you pass their annual budget appropriation, but, you know, they still have to give them, you know, some level of
I
autonomy.
understand.
But again, they're going to want to have a good, and we've always had a really good relationship. Like I said, one of the things that I've tried to work with them on is this idea that we try to work on projects so the city could work outside the district. You know, a lot of infrastructure has been put in over the last 10, 15 years in the DDA district, so the city didn't have to take out of its road funds or its, you know, other funds. So,
And that's where I believe the DDA money should be spent.
yeah. And it's been very positive.
Is there any other questions or comments from the council or anybody in the audience? Please come forward, state your name and address for the records.
Marcia Dulzwag, 209 Brown Street. I live 100, maybe the football field from the walking trail. So I see the people that use that walking trail, where they park, where they come from, where they start from. Basically, they all come down the highway towards Marion Park or the other way. Most of the people that come this way from it have already gone behind the fairgrounds in that area. They don't normally park up at that end, up at Marion Park. I don't know anybody that I've ever seen that's walking that has parked at Marion Park. They do park on, is it Saginaw that comes around the corner? Or does it turn into Second Avenue? I'm not quite sure. From the Holy Spirit
Saginaw.
driveway to Brown Street. There's a lot of parking there because that's where, those are your main points where people get on the trail. I'm not saying I'm for or against the parking lot at the mirror. That has nothing to do with it. But what the council needs to know and the DDA needs to know when they do this is you need to put at your access points where your parking lot should be. And your access points, unfortunately, are at the Mirror, Strawberry Lake, and even down by me. I don't want a parking lot down there. We have enough traffic. But those are your main areas where people park and they congregate. Families will meet in a certain area and park there, and then the kids go on the bikes, there's the strollers and whatnot. So, you have to really pay attention to that. You can't just say, well, we don't need this parking lot here, no matter where it is, because they can park there. You have to look at where the people actually come from. And honestly, most of the people, when they hit that walking trail, they're either coming down from Strawberry Lake, or they come down Second Avenue or US 8, and that's the way they head. They'll either head to the park, or they'll walk over to the bridge by Holy Spirit and then go down. So those are just some of the ideas that you might want to look at, where your main congregational points are to put a parking lot.
You also have to look at if those people are local and they live in that area, because then they wouldn't be parking.
I see people
They wouldn't
that
be
walk
parking.
all the way from Third Ward with their kids on their bikes. They walk, and that's where they come from. The people that park are usually people like Ray and I that are, kind of limping and tied up, or you'll get people from Evergreen that'll just come down to the trail, and then actually they'll drive up the highway on their little scooters. They're all over the place. But nobody really parks to get onto those trails from Marion Park, or like I say, even down by me. Your main parking areas are at the starts, and people consider the Mirror the start, probably down by the fire department to start, or Strawberry Lake. Those are your main points.
I see a lot of Strawberry Lake. We walk quite a bit, and we come around by the cemetery, and we come back from Marion.
Yeah.
We barely see people coming from Marion. It's all back in the Murr and
And the
Strawberry
people
Lake.
that do come from Marion Park, they're coming from River Meadow down there,
Yeah.
or coming around. So, we got a parking lot at Marion Park for the park, but nobody, they're not using it for the trails. So if you're gonna put parking lots in for the trails or the river or whatever, you have to put them in the spots where they're accessible to people. That's all I have.
Thank you, Marshall.
Thank you.
I'm Bill Asman, 507 Second Avenue. Were those flags all put in by mistake, or were they put in by the engineering company?
No, those are mistake. The contractor called them mistake.
Oh, okay. And then they're responsible for the accuracy of it, right?
I wish.
Bruce is responsible.
I can tell you from experience that there are occasions when the various utilities, mistake calls them utilities, and the city's one of them, and the gas company, wherever the underground stuff is, and those utilities can want to mark their lines. And I have had occasions where they're not necessarily spot on, and I don't know if that's because of the technical nature of their equipment. I can tell you that the maps that some of those utilities generate aren't always real accurate, and that's why they call mistake.
So-
But I have had occasions when the contractor starts digging and there's lines on the road
Bruce is responsible. Bruce is responsible.
Oh, good, that's good, that's a good point. That sometimes gets to be a little bit of a contentious thing between the contractor and utility. Yeah, but normally, if it's mismarked, the utility just takes the ball and fixes it. Okay. Just to check. Yeah, we'll see how that goes pretty soon. You think something's mismarked, or? I don't know, I've heard from others that there might be some mismarkings. Oh.
Is there any other questions or concerns on the DDA? Anybody in the audience? I would like to say again that I think that the spring is probably deserves a great deal of attention from the DDA. That's, could be a shining star for the city. That'll attract more people in than I think any other attraction that we've got. I'd like to see, again, some way to communicate from the spring down to the mirror and down to the museum. And I think that would be something down the road for the DDA to consider, and looking for grants from Iron Belt Trail. I guess we can have other addresses from the audience. Anybody in the audience like to address any other concern? If not, would the council like to address any concerns? Mr. Pop?
I would just like to see a couple things done. The gates at the ball field, between the ball fields and the golf course, if we can lock them up,
Okay.
because there's a lot of traffic, and these people that aren't involved and don't have kids in the sports complex, they're flying through there.
Yeah, they need to be closed.
Yeah, another thing, if we can get somebody to get that sidewalk fixed on Brown Street, still, it's a hazard for people that are walking. I think it's down, it's at the other end of Brown Street.
200.
The 200?
It's right on the corner.
Okay, yeah, we got to get that taken care of.
We're still waiting for the concrete plants to open.
Okay.
That's been the holdup on that.
Another
They're
thing too
open now.
about
Are
the
they open now? Okay.
about the DDA. I mean, I don't know if I would be happy about it, but I have been walking quite a bit, and we've gone through the Murr a couple times. That new bridge that was built last year, I am very unhappy with it. That is not even close to being, for the money that was put into that, it's at a 15-degree angle through the whole thing. It's leaning. It's a leaning tower. I wouldn't be happy. That's all I got. Oh, and to the Clyde camps who put the Easter egg on hunt last weekend, great job. Even though it was raining, always a great turnout.
I also would like to comment on the Easter egg hunt. I heard it brought many people in, and many children were very happy. And I would like to congratulate all the people who helped and volunteered to make this such a great event every year for all the kids in the community around.
Mr. Bobolani?
I'd like to echo that. I'm very appreciative to everybody that was involved in the egg hunt. I was up there, and there was a tremendous turnout. I had sent in a work order about Strawberry Lake Park. Looks like there's a lot of things that have been fixed out there. There was nothing vandalized, but just worn out swings and stuff like that. It looks nice. I would like to see the work van come down possibly. I had talked to Ray on it. There is trash everywhere over there. And I see we have the other gentleman on Parks and Recs now for the summer. I would like to see us get some wood chips out there. There's a very shortage around the swings. I see there was some tree cutting. Miller Tree was over on Norway Street today. I'm hoping that that wasn't trees that were supposed to be cut by our city crew that we contracted out. I'm hoping that that wasn't the case. Gravel and sand for this project that we got going on that Baco's working on. I guess I don't really understand why we're going to be purchasing gravel through Baco as part of the project that's coming from Bray's Pit down in Waseda when we have our own sand pit. And I was told that the gravel is acceptable up there if it was crushed. It is so much closer, we probably could have cut down on the bid on that project if we took it out of Bryson's pit. I don't know why that wasn't looked at. And then I have another concern, maybe Bruce or, I know Matt was supposed to be here, I believe the gentleman here now is Chris. I was told that we don't need to fill around the infrastructure piping with crushed rock if it's not in standing water. Is there any truth to that?
I guess I can't speak as an engineer at all, but, I mean, you can look at it either way. You're either gonna spend your time prepping a base out of sand or, you know, whatever materials is there, backfilling it, prepping the surface above the pipe, and compacting it, or you can do it all in one motion with a stone.
The stone doesn't have to be compacted in any way, crushed stone?
Well, I mean, when you place it, you're basically gonna get your density right there. It's not really gonna move a crushed angular stone. It's gonna be there. I can also say that even if we weren't, the project wasn't to encapsulate the pipe with stone, as a company, we're gonna put it in our bid anyways, at joints, at manholes. So we would have probably incorporated at least half of the stone in our bid just to take care of water or all the joints or under manholes, at laterals, at Ys. So for, I don't know, I think it was like 50 cents a foot. For just stone, that doesn't even take into account what we would have actually bid. So we're probably looking at 25 cents a foot for the extra support and encapsulation of the stone. I do believe it's actually a better product. I mean, we're seeing it a lot more through cities and even MDOT is starting to spec out stone under pipe, under structures, under Ys. So I do believe it is beneficial. Sometimes people they see the price of the stone compared to the price of sand and they don't realize that regardless, we're going to bid in stone into the pipe because you're always using stone on a pipe job. But I can't speak to it on an engineering level, on a structural level.
So it sounds like you end up with a much better project if you use all stone.
Correct. I believe so.
You're cutting down on man hours using stone? For the prepping, compacting, you can just come back and lay.
Absolutely.
So we're putting money into product rather than into labor.
Yeah, so if we use it, especially if it gets wet, I mean, you're gonna use it, if we use it at joints, it'd be just like in your highway, every time you've got a concrete joint, you're gonna have some kind of differential heating, if you've got heating down there. So I mean, if you've got stone at every single joint and sand in between it, you're gonna have you're not gonna have a consistent base to that pipe. So having a consistent base is gonna encapsulate your whole structure. I do think you wind up with a better product long term, to last 40, 50 years, whatever it's meant to last, 100 years.
Okay, I just wanted to get some clarification because I was informed by some others that, but I appreciate it. I appreciate what you said.
I'd like to make a few comments about
Come up
that,
here.
if I could. Because I think it's worthwhile for you to understand just a little more about all that. Because it's just one topic that you should talk about for potentially saving money or considering not wasting money. And Chris touched on it, but trench technology and trench engineering is important. Okay, this pipe we're putting in the ground for 100 years, and we don't need to use stone. We don't need to use stone in what's called the envelope of the pipe. 4 inches below the pipe, 8 inches either side of the pipe, and a foot over the pipe. And if you look at our detail for the trench on the job, you will see that, and this all comes from the PVC Pipe Association, Ductile Iron Pipe Research Association, Concrete Pipe Association, that because of the forces that are on those pipes in the ground, the recommendation actually is for slopes to come down, and for the last 2 feet vertically, they're straight. That minimizes the forces that are on the side of that pipe that will make them move. Plastic's more susceptible
sidewall. So the support of the pipe then becomes much more important. There are forces down there that some people don't realize. And so you have a choice. How are you going to get that pipe compacted in place? Underneath it, alongside of it, particularly on the haunch, which is from the center of the pipe down. It's very important to have that compacted well. Okay, you guys understand compaction because the city's had some issues with compaction in other places. Okay, so the thing that Chris mentioned, by the way, all you have in this is Chris Ragoni. Some of you met him. Chris is the project manager for Baco on the project. So Matt Carpenter is the superintendent, kind of report to Chris. And I appreciate you being here tonight. So you can do that a number of ways. It's kind of designer's choice, okay? There's a lot of things that are designer's choice that are in the specs that I've got in there because of experiences I've had or things that I've seen. Talking about the stone, the options are you can use native material potentially. But you gotta be very careful about getting rocks next to the pipe. Okay, there was a PVC water main somewhere that after 10 years broke. They found the leak. Guess what happened? Rock put a hole through the pipe. This is heavy duty PVC pipe. Plastic, if you took a ballpoint pen and stood there and pushed against it long enough, you'll put a hole in it. Now, you won't do that today, but you will eventually do it. Studies have shown that. So we start using native material, particularly on sewer, which is plastic. Okay? And they take a scoop of dirt and put it down there. His guys are going to have a 5-gallon pail and they're going to be picking out all the rocks. If there's any, and most times there are. So now you get into, well, let's just bring in sand. Let's bring in something less expensive than stone. It doesn't consolidate on its own. So now what he's going to do, even if it's clean, if he doesn't have a totally consolidated trench on the bottom, he's going to be running his whacker compactor over it. Then he's going to put the pipe down. Then he's going to sprinkle, not sprinkle, but he's going to put sand fill or something, and it has to be approved stuff because it has to compact. He's going to put that up to the side of the pipe. Spring line, you call it. He's going to compact that somehow mechanically so that under that launch it's compacted. And he's going to put some more material into the top of the pipe. And he's going to compact that with his whacker back and forth. And what he alluded to is what typically happens with stone is they put some on, it gets up to about half the pipe, and the guys go along with a shovel, and they just go chuck it a little bit just to make sure. And that's it. He's done. Put some more stone on the top, and now he starts worrying about going on. So I have found it to